The sun was melting into the western horizon, turning the sky into streaks of crimson and gold. Dust rose from the packed earth as boots shuffled and spurs jingled. The air smelled of whiskey, sweat, and dry hay, a scent that clung to every man in Dusty Creek that evening. They had gathered outside the saloon where a wooden platform stood, freshly built for tonight's trade. A hand-painted sign read, "Auction, guaranteed satisfaction or your money back." On that platform the dealer strutted like a peacock, his voice slick as oil. "Gentlemen, I bring you what no man has ever regretted. Strong, silent, and sure to please, guaranteed, or your money back." He slapped the bars of a wooden cage beside him. Inside sat a young woman with long black hair that hung over her face, her wrists tied in front with a frayed piece of rope. She didn't cry. She didn't beg. She simply stared at the crowd through the bars, her gaze sharp and unbroken. The men laughed, shouted prices, and threw coins in the air. But standing apart was a tall cowboy in a dust-stained duster coat. Jack Carver didn't come to town for this. He had just finished a month-long cattle drive and only wanted a drink and a bed. But something about the woman caught him, the way she sat still amid chaos, like a flame refusing to go out. The dealer noticed Jack's stare and grinned. "You there, cowboy. Don't tell me a man like you can't see quality when it's right in front of him. $200 and she's yours. Full satisfaction guaranteed." Jack's jaw tightened. He didn't like the sound of it, but before he could think twice, he tossed a leather pouch of coins onto the table. The crowd gasped. The dealer laughed, declaring, "Sold." The cage creaked open. The woman rose slowly, every movement graceful despite the dirt on her skin. Her eyes met Jack's, dark, unyielding, and unreadable. "You can untie me," she said softly, voice steady as stone. Jack hesitated but did as she asked. As they walked away through the dying light, the dealer's mocking laughter followed them into the desert wind. Jack didn't know it yet, but the deal he just made would change his life forever, and no guarantee could protect him from what was coming. The desert stretched endlessly before them, a sea of gold and red beneath a sky turning violet with dusk. Jack Carver rode at the front, reins loose in his calloused hands, his horse moving at a steady trot. Behind him the woman rode the spare mare, wrapped in a coarse blanket he'd given her. The silence between them was heavy, not the kind that begged to be filled, but the kind that spoke louder than words. For the first hour, she didn't say a thing. Her dark eyes scanned the horizon like a hawk's, watching every cactus, every shadow, as though expecting danger to rise from the sand itself. Jack caught himself glancing back at her more than once. There was something unnerving about how calm she seemed for someone who'd just been bought and freed in the same breath. Finally, he broke the silence. "You got a name?" She didn't look at him when she answered. "Nayara." The way she spoke, firm, deliberate, made her name sound like a promise. Jack nodded slowly. "I'm Jack, ain't looking to hurt you. You're free to ride wherever you please." She tilted her head, her voice soft but edged with steel. "You think freedom is given? You don't own what you didn't earn." Her words puzzled him, and for a while they rode on. The only sound, the creak of leather and the rhythm of hooves. When the last light began to fade, Jack pulled up near a dry creek bed and dismounted. He built a small fire from brushwood, its flickering glow casting long shadows on the sand. From his saddlebag he pulled a tin of beans and a piece of jerky, warming them over the flames. He handed her a plate. "Ain't much, but it'll fill you." She accepted it slowly, eyes never leaving his. "You paid for me," she said, "but the dealer didn't tell you what I cost." Jack frowned. "I reckon I paid plenty." Nayara's lips curved into a faint, haunting smile. "No, you paid too little. Some things come with a price you can't count in dollars." The wind stirred, carrying her words across the darkening desert. Jack felt a chill crawl up his spine as she turned away, staring into the fire with eyes that seemed to see far beyond the flames, eyes that held secrets older than the sand itself. By dawn, the fire had long gone cold, and the desert was painted silver under the rising sun. Jack woke with a start, his instincts sharp. Something was wrong. The blanket she'd used lay folded neatly beside the ashes, but Nayara was gone. His heart kicked against his ribs as he scanned the endless dunes. Then faintly he heard the rhythmic thud of hooves echoing from the distance. He mounted his horse and rode hard toward the sound. Ahead he saw her, Nayara, riding, his second mare with a grace that didn't belong to a captive. The wind tugged, her dark hair loose as she rode, toward the mountains that loomed like jagged, teeth in the distance. Jack caught up, blocking her path. "You plan on running off without saying goodbye?" he called. Nayara slowed, her expression unreadable. "You shouldn't have followed me." "Then tell me what's going on," he demanded. "You said I paid too little. What did you mean?" She stared at him for a long moment, then turned her gaze toward the mountains. "Those men in town, thieves, slavers, they took me from my people weeks ago. I'm going back." "Your people?" Her eyes met his, fierce and proud. "The Apache. My father is their chief." Jack's stomach dropped. "You're his daughter?" "I am Nayara of the Red River clan," she said, her voice echoing across the canyon. "The man who sold me will pay for what he's done. And you," she paused, her tone softening, "you're not like them. You saw me as human, not property. That's why I let you live." Before Jack could answer, a sharp whistle pierced the air. From the ridge above, riders appeared. 6 Apache warriors, their faces painted, arrows ready. Jack's hand twitched toward his gun, but Nayara raised her hand. The warriors stopped instantly, waiting for her signal. She turned back to him. "They will not harm you unless I say so." Jack lowered his rifle slowly. "And what do you say?" "I say you walk away now," she replied. "If you stay, your life will change forever." Her tone held no threat, only truth. Jack met her eyes and saw not a victim but a force of nature. And deep down he knew, whatever path she was on, he was already part of it. The air was heavy with tension as the Apache warriors surrounded them, dust swirling around their horses like a storm. Jack Carver sat tall in his saddle, hands raised in peace, his heart thudding against his ribs. Across from him stood Nayara, no longer the quiet woman from the auction cage, but a warrior's daughter. Her posture straight, her eyes bright with command. The men obeyed her slightest gesture. She was one of them again. An older warrior with gray streaks in his braids rode forward, his gaze piercing through Jack. His face was carved with lines of wisdom and battle scars, and when he spoke, his English was rough but powerful. "You bought my blood," he said, voice deep as thunder. "Tell me, white man, what is her worth to you?" Jack swallowed hard, then dismounted slowly. "Didn't know who she was," he said honestly. "Didn't buy her for pleasure or power. Just couldn't stand seeing her treated like that. Nobody deserves a cage." The old warrior studied him, then looked toward Nayara. She said something in their language, soft but firm. The chief nodded and dismounted as well. He approached Jack, stopping only a few feet away. "You speak truth," he said. "But truth alone does not wash away the stain of their greed. The men who sold her, your people, must answer." Jack looked between them. "Then let me help you." The warriors murmured among themselves, uncertain. Nayara stepped closer, eyes fixed on him. "You would fight against your own kind?" Jack's voice was steady. "I ain't fighting for color or country. I'm fighting for what's right." A faint smile touched her lips, the first real one he'd seen. "Then your path lies with us." That night, under a blood-red moon, the plan was set. By dawn, they rode together, Jack, Nayara, and her warriors, back toward Dusty Creek. They struck like lightning, silent and swift. The dealer's camp fell before them in a storm of fire and fury. Chains were broken, captives freed, and the man who had boasted guaranteed satisfaction was left to face the flames he'd lit himself. When the smoke cleared, Nayara stood beside Jack on the ridge. "You can leave now," she said softly. "You've done enough." Jack looked at her for a long moment, then shook his head. "I reckon I just started." The desert wind carried their silhouettes into the horizon. Two souls bound by fate, by fire, and by the price of redemption.